The NCAA passed new eligibility rules this week. Will they hold up in court next week? The NBA draft was Tuesday and Wednesday night. Some scheduling news from around the area, plus a half-hour sit-down interview with Northern Kentucky head coach Darrin Horn. All of that and more on today's Rebound Rundown. This is the Rebound Rundown. I'm your host, Paul Fritchner. Your home for college basketball in the Cincinnati area and across the country every Monday through Friday during the season. Make sure to subscribe on YouTube and wherever you get your podcasts. Welcome into the Rebound Rundown. I'm your host, Paul Fritchner. This is a daily show during the season and a weekly show in the offseason that covers everything you need to know about your favorite team here in the Cincinnati area. Maybe you're a fan of a team from somewhere around the country. We talk about those national stories as well. Make sure if you're watching this on YouTube, you go down there, you subscribe to the channel. If you're listening to this in audio form, you subscribe wherever you're listening. We're available on every major podcast platform, especially Apple and Spotify. If you like the show, leave a rating and a review. It really helps us out. Follow us on social media at Rebound Rundown. And if you want, you can leave us a voicemail. Dial 330-REBOUND. That's 330-732-6863, and we'll play it on next week's show. Some news and headlines to get to in just a minute, plus a half-hour sit-down with Northern Kentucky head coach Darrin Horn, who was nice enough to come into the new Crown Network studios in downtown Over the Rhine. Awesome to have him in there. He did the first segment of the 9 o'clock hour with the First Word crew, James Rapine, Marissa Contepelli, Jacob Tissett. You can watch that on the First Word YouTube channel. Then he walked across the hall and sat down with me for a half hour for the rundown. So you'll hear all of that in just a minute. But first, before I get to anything, I want to make sure that I say thank you to each and every one of you that has reached out over the last couple of days. Maybe you saw it on social media. My wife and I are expecting our first child, be right around feast week. Perfect timing for hoops season in November of this year. We are super excited about it. So happy to be adding to our family. We're not finding out, or hopefully we aren't finding out. As long as nobody slips up in the process here over the next few months, we're going to try not to find out if it's a boy or a girl. We'd like to be surprised. Only so many surprises in life, right? Only so many times that you can be truly surprised. And we're hoping that we can pull this one off, that the day of we'll be surprised, whether it's a boy or a girl. But again, very excited. Thank you to each and every one of you that has reached out. Lizzie's doing great so far. And a few more months in this pregnancy journey for her. And hopefully it'll continue as smooth as it has here over the first few months. So excited about that. But again, Feast Week 2026, Fritchner, a rundown. We're adding a new subscriber to the family, to the Rundown family, gaining a new one. Couldn't be happier about it. Let's get into it. Let's get into today's show. And I want to start with the big news of the week and the eligibility. 5 and 5. That's what everybody's calling it. I think there's some nuance to it, and the reason that the NCAA doesn't want to technically call it 5 and 5. What it is you have 5 years to play 5 seasons, starting from whenever you begin your college eligibility, whenever you start your college career, or your 19th birthday. Whichever one of those comes first, you have 5 years to play 5 seasons. Now, the idea behind this obviously is to not have this craziness of all of these players and the red shirts and everything and all these old players in college sports. I think this is a really logical, good step for the NCAA as long as they are allowed to enforce it. There was already a lawsuit filed actually in Hamilton County, right here in Cincinnati. There was a lawsuit filed that included several players. I'll talk about that in just a second, but just overall, I think this is a good first step in the structure of what the NCAA is trying to do around age-based criteria for eligibility in the NCAA. I think one thing that you'll see here is that it could eliminate some of these players who might play a few games at the start of the season and then say, you know what? I don't want to play anymore. I want to try and get this year back for a red shirt. Or you might see some players who could have potentially played in a season or could potentially play because they've been cleared from injury maybe in January. Maybe those players decide that they want to just go ahead and play if they're healthy enough because it doesn't really matter eligibility-wise, red shirt-wise. They only have so long to play, so might as well go ahead and play. It doesn't hurt them to go ahead and use that year. You're not necessarily burning a year in there. So those are some overarching themes and things to think about with this rule. As long as it holds up in court, it would eliminate the waivers and the red shirts, everything like that. There was, like I mentioned, a lawsuit filed that included former Xavier players Philip Borovichinen and Malik Messina Moore. It also included Javon Bennett from Dayton and MJ Collins and Colby King, who played at Utah State for Jared Calhoun and intend, if this gets cleared or if they win the lawsuit next week, or at least get the preliminary injunction, that they would intend to play at Cincinnati. MJ Collins and Colby King would. I would expect Borovichinen, if this does go through, to play at Xavier. They would figure out a way to make it work on the roster, and I would expect Malik Messina Moore to try to play elsewhere. I would not expect to see him at Xavier next year. But again, if it goes through, Collins and King to UC, Borovichinen back to Xavier for another year. The other thing about this, and the reason that it could potentially have some legs to it, is that the players that are rising seniors, the players that are currently entering their final year of eligibility, they are given another year. So you think about guys that are going into their final year right now at all of these local schools, you might have those players for 2 more years now, whereas you were planning on only building around them for 1 year. You might get those guys for a couple more years, obviously if they want to stick around, but eligibility-wise, they'd have 1 more year. Ross Dellinger did report that the judge assigned to the case here in Hamilton County called a hearing right away today and denied a temporary restraining order for it, but the judge scheduled a preliminary injunction, and that hearing is next Wednesday. That was all from Ross Dellinger, and so we'll find out here pretty quick. I mean, for the judge to call it right away on the temporary restraining order and to not to deny that, and then now to schedule this next Wednesday, we'll have a pretty quick decision, it sounds like, in this case, and whether these players will be eligible or not for next season. But you think about this and what this does or could potentially do for Cincinnati, especially. This would be huge for Cincinnati. MJ Collins, he scored 17.5 points a game at Utah State. And if he isn't immediately Cincinnati's best player, he's their second best player. He was all Mountain West second team. He was the Mountain West tournament MVP. He is a serious threat to score and would immediately elevate the ceiling of this team. He'd elevate the floor. He'd elevate the ceiling. He would elevate everything about this Cincinnati group going forward. So if you're a Cincinnati fan listening to this, you are furiously hoping that this gets passed for next year. Philip Borovichinen, obviously the role that he played last year, I think it's valuable having a player like him who understands the system, knows Richard Pitino, can help some of these guys develop within the system next year. I wouldn't expect him to be a starter on next year's team, but they would find a role for him, certainly, maybe sort of similar to the role that he had played in his final year at New Mexico. That feels a little bit more suited to like what Philip Borovichinen would see if, again, he does find a way onto this next year's roster. So that's the big news from what's effectively the 5-5. And again, just to summarize, you have 5 years to play 5 seasons from whenever you either start your college career or your 19th birthday, whichever comes first. What I don't know is how that affects, or I guess we just call everybody first year, second year, third year, fourth year, fifth year now. I mean, the freshman, sophomore, junior, senior thing seems a little antiquated at this point with the way that all this is going. But I'll let some other people make decisions on that one. But it feels like maybe might be due for a change on all of that. Scheduling news. Xavier has their season opener set. It's against Mount St. Mary's on November 2nd. We're still waiting on that neutral site announcement, some final details getting figured out there before we get an announcement. I would expect that to come pretty soon on that neutral site. I was hoping I'd be able to talk about it on this show, but it hasn't been announced yet. So I would keep an eye out for that here pretty soon. Dayton will host University of Texas at Rio Grande Valley. That's on December 15th. Northern Kentucky will host Central Michigan on November 14th. Kentucky's SEC opponents were announced as well. They're home and away SEC opponents. Kentucky will play at home at Rupp Arena. Tennessee, Vanderbilt, Ole Miss, Arkansas, Alabama, Auburn, LSU, Texas A&M, and South Carolina. And then on the road, Kentucky will play Tennessee, Vanderbilt, Ole Miss, Florida, Georgia, Mississippi State, Missouri, Oklahoma, and Texas, all ready to go along with the non-conference schedule that they announced that we've talked about already on this show. Pretty good schedule for Kentucky in general. They'll play Kansas, they'll play Indiana, they'll play Virginia, they'll play Louisville, of course, they'll play North Carolina. So stacking up well for Kentucky. And then obviously the challenges there in the SEC presenting themselves no matter where they play. And then the NBA draft was Tuesday and Wednesday. Final bit of news here before we get to Darrin Horn. Jaden Quaintance from Kentucky didn't have a very long career at Kentucky, but he did play for the Big Blue just for a little bit, just for a handful of games, but he played. He got drafted 20th overall, went to San Antonio. Michael Brown, he was 6th overall. An awesome job for Michael Brown. I know that he had a rocky season, up and down. Wasn't exactly I know what Louisville fans were hoping, but the Nets get Michael Brown. So exciting for him to, do what he did at Louisville in his freshman year. Again, I know that it was a little choppy at times with his injury and Louisville fans hoping that he would have played a little bit more than he did. But Michael Brown goes 6th overall to Louisville, or out of Louisville to Brooklyn. Dalen Swain, 15th overall to Chicago. Dalen Swain started his college career at Xavier, followed Sean Miller to Texas, 15th overall to the Chicago Bulls. Cincinnati's Baba Miller, 36th overall to the Los Angeles Clippers. Ryan Conwell, who had played obviously at Xavier and then went to Louisville, 37th to Oklahoma City. And Dylan Mitchell, the former Cincinnati Bearcat, who then transferred to St. John's. He got drafted 40th overall to Boston. So that's your NBA draft recap. I'll be interested here in the coming days, and this is something I'm recording this right around midnight, Wednesday into Thursday. This could be something that, we hear about Trey Carroll, Pete Suter, guys getting summer league invites. Keep an eye out for that, undrafted free agent type guys. So keep an eye out for that here over the next few days. But again, here is Northern Kentucky head coach Darrin Horn. This is an awesome sit down with Darrin, talking about everything with the Norse, scheduling, a lot to get to in this show. Whether you're a fan of the Norse or just a fan of college basketball at all, I'm a huge fan of the way Darrin approaches these interviews and sits down and really discusses everything in such thorough detail. So hope you enjoy this sit down with Darrin Horn. Great to welcome on in the Rebound Rundown studios here in Over the Rhine, downtown Cincinnati. It is the head coach of the Northern Kentucky Norse, Darrin Horn. Darrin, welcome to the studio here. We've done this in person over in Highland Heights, but I thought today we'd bring you on our turf here.
Look at you. Look at this place, huh?
We're
Rebound Rundown, moving up.
That's right.
Yeah.
Great to have you here.
Oh, it's great to be here.
So you just did a segment on First Word. For those of you watching this on YouTube, maybe you're listening to this in podcast form. You can also go check out, Darrin was at the First Word desk a few minutes ago talking with James, Marissa, and Jacob about a variety of different things. And now that was about a 10-minute segment. We're going to do about a half hour here with you and get more into the nitty-gritty of this year's team, this year's roster. I had a chance to get over to Highland Heights yesterday, see your guys work out. It's the first time I had a chance to see the Norse. I was very impressed. I had a lot of fun there yesterday going through all the guys with you. But let's just start here like I always do in all of these interviews. Let's start with kind of how this roster came together, your excitement level for this team, and what you were thinking in the portal coming off that Horizon League tournament loss and what you wanted to correct going into next year.
It's funny, Paul. I don't know what other coaches have told you, but we really feel like we're learning a little bit every year, right, in this new world in terms of roster construction, how the portal works. Some of that is where the finances in the portal, they went up this year, as everyone might imagine. And, the two biggest things that we went into the spring with, one, we had a lot of new guys last year, but we had a couple key guys returning in Dan Goretzka and LJ Wells, right? This year, we only have one starter returning in Ethan Elliott, and he's only a second-year guy. And so we really felt like there were two things we needed. One, even though some of the guys have been really good. Dan Goretzka's one. Cale Robinson is one. Michael Bradley, who was a terrific point guard for us, was one. We wanted to stay away from Division II transfers and try to get all Division I guys. Just felt like they were a little bit more game ready from day one. And the other thing is we wanted to get positional size and much more physical on the interior with our 5 men. And we think we were able to accomplish that. Those were the 2 biggest things that we went into the portal with. And I feel really good that we were able to get those 2 things done.
You talk about positional size and looking more on the interior. Will Short, Noah Pagato, 2 guys that really stood out to me yesterday, and I had fun watching both of them. Kind of some sneaky athleticism, I guess, is the easy way to say that. But Pagato's somebody that you just talked about on First Word that you're hoping has a standout season here and makes a difference for you guys. An interior presence, talk to me about Noah Pagato.
Well, again, I think the thing that separates him maybe from some guys we had in the past, LJ Wells, who was a 4th-year player for us last year, which we probably won't see again at the mid-major level. Not a guy as good as him that they'll stick around. But, still kind of more of an athlete and a guy that's kind of shifty. Noah is a big boy, I think 235 pounds, really physical, can just bruise you on the block, but can do all the things in our offense that we want, trailing on the break, making decisions with the basketball, making some plays off the bounce, and will knock down a 3 as well. And so we feel like he's a great fit for our system, but maybe brings us a physicality and a physical presence on the interior that we haven't had.
What is it about this league? You look at, obviously we cover the Big East here on this show, and a league that's always kind of known for its rugby style, very tough, bruising, physical. Some leagues lean more finesse, maybe more skill, whatever it might be. What do you think is the winning culture of the Horizon League?
Well, I think if you look at the teams that have won, especially recently, going back to our championship 3 years ago, the teams that are winning are the teams that can play physical in those tough games in the tournament, right? And so you look at who's been at the top of the league very consistently the last several years. It's Robert Morris, it's us, it's Wright State, it's Oakland. Those teams all are really physical around the basket and really rebound the ball really well. And we feel like maybe that's been an area of weakness for us that we wanted to try to shore up in recruiting in the portal this year.
So I know you and I were talking about this yesterday, the way that you play defensively and how that lends itself to rebounding in your system. How do you approach that when you know that that's an area of need, but also an area that can sometimes be difficult in the way that you guys play defensively?
Well, we don't want to overcomplicate it, right? So, score, right? Guys that are good free throw shooters make free throws. Guys that rebound and grab the ball well, rebound and grab the ball well. So our defense does lend itself, because we do a lot of switching, to where maybe we're not going to be as solid defensively in terms of our matchups with rebounding. But if you've got good rebounders and you've got better size, you have a better chance to rebound the ball better. So we really wanted to address that, again, with positional size and some physicality and having better rebounders.
Yeah. Somebody that stuck out to me yesterday, freshman recruit, Willie Foster.
Oh, yeah.
Had a little bit of bounce. Had a
lot of bounce.
An edginess to him that I liked.
Yeah.
He was a fun player to watch.
Yeah. Lima has maybe become my favorite high school in the entire country because Dantez Walton, who is one of my all-time favorite guys to coach, would have been player of the year had he not got hurt his senior year here in our first year at NKU. Same high school. And then Willie brings a couple qualities that are, I think give him a chance to be really special. He may be just, gift from God, most talented guy we've recruited as a freshman. For 2 reasons. One, athletically, this guy can play anywhere in the country. You stick him in any gym in the country, Paul, and he looks like he fits. Tremendous quickness, very fast, and can really get off the ground. Really get off the ground.
Yeah, absolutely. There were a couple of times yesterday when all of a sudden, he maybe starts a little slow at the top of the key, and then all of a sudden he's got that burst.
Yes.
And he's at the rim, and he's not just laying it up. He's trying to throw it down.
Yeah, he's trying to punch on people. And the other thing about him is because of that, I think he's got a real confidence about him. As you said, he's got an edge. He thinks he's good. He knows he's talented, and we like that. We like that. We want to encourage that and continue to help develop that and help it come out.
One of the things that I asked you yesterday when we were talking about how this team operates and what separates different types of players, something that stuck out to me that it seems very obvious. Seems very obvious and very surface level, but it's true. The more I went back last night, you were like, Paul, the good players make layups.
Yeah.
Good players make layups. And we could sit here and say, of course, you're doing a college basketball show. Of course, players make layups. But
start watching closer. The best guys, they just finish layups, and they make them in a lot of different ways. And they're able to finish, right? And so that's a thing I actually picked up from Kevin Stallings, old Vanderbilt coach. Was talking about, I had a really small guard. Actually, he played at Cincinnati, Devin Downey.
Oh, yeah.
Played at Cincinnati for a year. I had him at South Carolina, inherited him when I got there. And one of the things as a small guard that made him good is he was a really good layup maker, even at his size around the basket in the SEC. And so, if you watch closely, good players finish a variety of ways in a variety of situations around and around.
Staying on this train here with this roster, a couple more guys I want to talk about. BJ Davis-Ray is one of them because that's the name, right? That's an ACC transfer that came to Highland Heights from SMU, didn't play a ton of minutes this year at SMU, went to the NCAA tournament, played a handful of minutes, only averaged about 7 minutes a game, but he still appeared in, I think, 32 games. Didn't start, but played in 32 games. Drops down a level. What kind of player is BJ Davis-Ray? And also, when a player is in the ACC and comes to the Horizon League and wants to develop, wants to get better, what's your pitch to him? How do you get him to NKU?
I think to answer your first question, he's a positional size. I mean, you just don't see guys like him in our league very often. He is a true perimeter player, play all three perimeter spots, but he's a legit 6'6" with tremendous length and some real physicality. And so this is a guy that, if nothing else, and he can really shoot the basketball. So if he just makes a ton of open shots and drives the ball physically in a straight line, I think he's got a chance to really impact us because he's going to be able to do, with his length, be able to do some things on the defensive end as well. And honestly, the pitch in recruiting is we're very close with his agent. And when it became apparent that, hey, these are the kind of schools and this is the, price range that you're in, man, if you want to be back at a high level, making the most money you can, the best thing you can do is be somewhere where you're really going to develop. Not just go somewhere where they're going to, hand you the ball and let you be the man, but go somewhere where you're actually going to get better.
Yeah.
And our track record for development, we tell guys in recruiting all the time, Paul, I don't know that I'm the best coach in the country. I'm not telling you we're the best strategy, best on the chalkboard. We feel like nobody does a better job of developing players than we do, or that we do as good a job as anybody in college basketball at developing guys. And that's what you need if you want to get back there. You don't want to just get there. You want to be a guy that can get back to that level or get to the pro level and stick and be a real difference maker. And we can do that for you here. And so that was the pitch. And only a high character guy that's willing to be coached hard, that's a basketball junkie and really does want to get better, is going to buy into that. And we think BJ is that, and he did. And we're really excited with what we see so far.
And that lends itself to my next question, where in today's day and age of college basketball, I could see it one of two ways, Coach. I could see it where a coach would be very frustrated that they invest all this time, effort, and energy into developing a player, and then all of a sudden next year they're gone and back to the next level. I can also see it from your mindset of what you just said. I don't want to speak for you, but kind of what you just said of, look, we understand that you were in the ACC. We understand you're coming to the Horizon League and that you probably want to get back to a high level, and we want to help you get there. How do you handle the kind of transactional relationship of this, that you just say, hey, look, I know you're going to try and go get something bigger next year, but you're here this year and we need you to help us win?
Let me go way back to answer that question.
Okay.
When I first got the job here, we had several guys. This was before the portal, right? We had several guys that would have been able to graduate and move on, and or maybe had 1 year with us, and then would have been able to do that the next year. And I've just taken the approach in all of those situations, Paul. When you get into feeling like somebody owes you something, in general, in life, that's the beginning of some issues. And these guys don't owe us anything. We're here to coach them hard, help them be their best. And if they come in and work hard and do that, they don't owe us anything. And so I took that approach way back when, you could be a grad transfer. The first conversation I ever had with Jalen Tate, who is a legend at our school. I mean, maybe the greatest winner I've ever coached. was, hey, man, I know you got 1 year left and you're going to be able to get an extra year. I think he had redshirted with an injury or something. And you probably want to move on somewhere. Oh, no, Coach, I'm not talking. Well, let's just. I know that's something you might be interested in. Great. But you can't do that or do it the best you can unless you have a great senior year here. So let's just lock in on being the very best you can be this last year here and get better. All right, so that when that time comes, if that's something you want to do, you're really ready. And then, man, we'll help you any way that we can. He ended up going to Arkansas and playing on an Elite 8 team, right? And I just feel like because we handle things that way and they understand that they are willing to give us their best and they are willing to go hard for us and be coached hard. In the time that they're here, because we understand that's the case, right? That's the reality of what we're dealing with now. And at the end of the day, if you're really doing what's best for your players, we all say that, right? But if you're really doing what's best for them, isn't that best for them? and so we've just kind of taken the approach that, it's 1 year at a time. But while you're here, here's the thing that comes with it. We are going to coach you like you've been here for 3 years and you might be here 3 more. Sure. We're going to coach you hard and we're going to hold you accountable. And again, the guys that love basketball and want to be good, they seem to thrive in doing that.
Staying here in this new landscape of college basketball, it changes again. The other day, the defending national champion head coach Dusty May goes to Michigan, or from Michigan, goes to Dallas. And not a stunner that Dusty goes to Dallas, I don't think. I think it had been rumored for a while. In fact, he was quoted in an article saying that eventually he wanted to go to the NBA, sure, and maybe sooner rather than later. It's the fact that he does it on June 22nd that stands out to everybody, the timing of it. But we've seen that more and more. We saw Tony Bennett a couple of years ago retire right before the season. I know Bruce Pearl handed the keys to his son, but that was right before the season started. We've seen some of these coaches decide that they want to leave because of the lack of rules, the way the institutions are operating right now. You just never know what you're supposed to follow. They passed the 5-5 yesterday, but now there's going to be some lawsuits about that, I'm sure.
Sure.
All over the place. What's Darrin Horn's vibe going on right now in college basketball?
I don't know what you thought, Paul, but I kind of felt like Dusty's departure yesterday felt a little Billy Donovan-like, where, hey, I just won the national championship, and it hasn't made recruiting any easier. And we've got the most money to spend and to give these guys. But, some unique situations in recruiting rumored where they thought they had a guy at the last second, they don't, and like you said, just kind of the Wild West with doing it. And it's like, man, all of this success and having the most money is not necessarily helping make this easier for me. And I really do want to coach the best players in the world and not have to deal with all of the things that we're having to deal with at the NBA level. You coach the guys they give you, right? You don't have to recruit. You don't have to do anything. You coach basketball. And so it felt a little bit, like that to me in some ways, like you said, because of the timing of it and maybe how soon he did it. Coming off a national championship, yeah. You think, man, he may try to run that back for a few more years. Young guy, right, still in his 40s. And so I just kind of think that's what's going on with a lot of guys now is that if you've got those options, you're maybe looking at them a little closer because of all the challenges that it presents with how things are.
Another major thread that I always enjoy talking about on this show with coaches is scheduling and the difficulties of it. And especially when you're trying to get some high major games on the schedule, you're trying to figure out who can we go and play. And you've had some luck with some teams agreeing to play. You've been to Tennessee, with Purdue. I mean, you've definitely challenged yourself in the last few years. There's no doubt about that. But we've also heard a lot of mid-major schools saying how difficult it is to get some of those games on the schedule. So where are you all at with scheduling right now?
We're making progress, and I wish it was as easy as fans thought it was. Where I know Jerry Calhoun well. I have a ton of respect for him at Cincinnati. Coached against him in the Horizon League. know Richard Pitino very well. You just call Jared and Richard, say, hey, we really need a game. Will you play, man? Oh, yeah, sure, Darrin. We'd love to play. Like Kentucky, Louisville. I've texted with Pat Kelsey. I've texted with the guys at Kentucky. Ohio State, right? Like, let's just play all of those games that are close, get those games. They'll pay us. It's beneficial for us. They'll get a win, and it'll be great. Just doesn't work that way, right? And, for us, ideally, we want to play 2 or 3 of those games. And now one of the things that's been added to it, Paul, is schools at our level are having to play those games because we need the money because it's going towards NIL. It's one of the ways you can fund an NIL budget without having to raise it or not coming from the school directly. And so it's become a real challenge in terms of getting those games on the schedule. And the biggest thing that hurts us specifically, also probably Wright State in the area, definitely Miami in the area, is that, and Miami's unique last year with the year that they had, but if you end up in the quad 4, right, on the net, which is about half of all of college basketball. I think the cutoff's 150, 175, whatever it is, right? Well, what they're telling them is that if you're going to play a quad 4 is a quad 4 is a quad 4. The old RPI, you got some credit for beating a good team, a Northern Kentucky team that won 20 games, and challenged themselves in the non-conference. You don't get credit for that anymore. Quad 4 is a quad 4 is a quad 4. All right? So if you're at the top of quad 4, like Wright State, like Northern Kentucky, right? Nobody wants to play you because that's a harder game, but to the team that's playing you, it's the same credit as playing number 355.
Yeah.
Right? And we're all in the 150 to 175 range. And so those two things have made it really hard to get those games. And then the other part is just logistically, structurally, right? Can you get the game? Buy games started for Power 4 schools, not just to get an easy win, but because, okay, here's my schedule coming together. We really need a home game on November 10th. All right, well, let's just go buy that team and get them to come. We don't have to return it. No scheduling issues in the future. It's done. And so, you start factoring in the logistics of it, the finances of it, the quad, analytics of it for the high majors, and scheduling has become really, really challenging to try to put together a schedule that you think your fans want to see, in your building and challenging your team, but then also giving you a chance to get some wins and be successful.
So where are you guys at with scheduling right now for this upcoming season?
We are getting close. We need to schedule one more home and home game, a series where, you play at home and then you return the next year. And we still need 2 more of those bye games that you're talking about. And, it's funny because I texted a power coach I'm close with, not to be named on air. Hey, man, honestly, kind of hat in hand, help a brother out. Like, all things being equal, if we're really in your group of 3 teams you're considering, can you throw your boy D Horn a bone? And like, we need the game, man. Like, I've become that guy, Paul. It's sad. And no, hey man, too much respect for you as a coach and a program. We're looking for a team that's not as good as you guys, but appreciate you reaching out. And I think we're far down the road anyway. My scheduling guy's telling me sounds like we're good. Okay, thanks, man. Later that day, that school posted on the scheduling website they still need a game.
Oh no!
That's just where it is now, and so, but we're getting close. We're getting close.
Okay, all right. And speaking of getting close, and again, I don't know how much of this you can say on the air, but for Northern Kentucky fans listening, in the process of looking for an athletic director right now, too, can you just give an update on where you're at with that?
Yeah. What I'm allowed to say is we're in the thick of interviews right now. We'll have some guys come to campus here in the next week or so. And the goal is to have somebody named sometime next month and, in the chair and to start August. And so I'm really excited about where it's headed. And again, I think, everything rises and falls on leadership. It's an old John Maxwell quote from the old minister, leadership expert. And we've got tremendous leadership at our university, and Katie Short-Thompson now, very committed to athletics, understands the importance of men's basketball success. And so I think because of that, we've attracted some really good candidates and feel really good about the direction that's headed.
We have a few minutes left here on the show, Darrin, so a couple more things that I want to ask you. First of all, I know a big push of yours in the last several seasons has been to get more people to Truist Arena, right? Get that environment to where, I was at the Cincinnati game a few years ago, and that was an incredible environment. And I recognize that was a power school, local. There was a dynamic to that was unique and special. But still, I go to a lot of Norse games. I love going to those games. I enjoy covering those games. What do you hope that the community embraces about the Norse this upcoming season, and to get more students, get more people out to Truist Arena?
Yeah, I think it's been a challenge all over college basketball, right, since COVID. Kind of getting back to that level of attendance and interest that all of us had before. But what I hope people will want to come back for is we're playing really good basketball. It's an exciting style of play, and even though because this is one of the knocks you hear, right? Well, I don't know those guys. They're all new, and I understand that. I think that's a real thing, but we're still doing the same thing. These are still really good guys. They're still getting the college experience. They're all still getting degrees at our place. And so I think that, just encouraging people. I mean, we are Northern Kentucky's team, right? And, we're the Division I program in the area. And, it's unique. It's why we're doing Norse in the neighborhood and taking our team to different neighborhoods in the area, because we're not just Cincinnati, right? We're not just Lexington. We're not just Louisville for the programs that are in those. We're a lot of different communities, right? We're Fort Thomas and Fort Mitchell, and I'm over in Villa Hills and Highland Heights and Alexandria and all these different places. And so, but all of us are in KU, and so just trying to get people out and let them know that we're their team, and continue to build the atmosphere in the arena. And one of the things I'm really excited about, and I don't know all the details and can't say too much, but I know there's going to be some things addressed, hopefully, with our season ticket situation. I think one of the charges for the new administration is going to be, number one priority, fill Truist Arena, because as you said, when it's full, and I'll say this, we were at a Zach Brown charity concert a few weeks back, and
I think my invite for that got lost in the mail.
But that's it might have.
It's all right. It's all right. It's fine.
Should I blame Madison on that?
Yeah, sure. Why not? Madison. Yeah, sure. Why not?
But I think the thing about it is, man, a full Truist Arena, it's pretty awesome.
It is.
It kind of doesn't matter what it is.
Yeah.
And it definitely is for a Norse men's basketball game. And the great thing about it is it's such a great arena that it doesn't have to be full. You just get that lower bowl full, pretty close to full, which is 4,000 to 5,000 people. It's a good college basketball atmosphere, and a big part of it, Paul, honestly, selfishly as a coach and for our players, is it also creates a better home court advantage, which leads to winning. And honestly, I think that's something we've lost that we really want to get back.
You mentioned Norse in the neighborhood. I'm not sure if this episode, we're recording this on Wednesday morning. I'm not sure if this episode's going to be out tonight or tomorrow morning, but you're doing one tonight at Highlands Middle School.
Highlands Middle School.
So tell us more about this series of what you're trying to do and getting out into the community.
Yeah, we're going to get at least 2 in. We hope 3 this summer. We're bringing our team to your neighborhood, Norse in the neighborhood. We'll go to, as you said, Wednesday night to Highlands Middle School. They'll get to meet the men's team, meet the women's team with Coach Hans, who's really excited about his team and program this year. And we'll do some stuff, some drills. The guys will shoot, and then a little mini clinic for the kids. Be about an hour and a half total. And again, just to get our team out, because I do think it's a real thing. We got 7 new guys. 7 of them, 7 of our 13 not born in the States, and so it is new for fans. And so let's get them out, get to know. We want them to know that we're their team, and we're not waiting for you to come to us. We're coming to you.
7 of the 13 not born in the States. Is that a priority on international recruiting, or is that how the transfer portal and recruiting lent itself, and it just so happens that they're international players?
Yes.
Great.
It's both, because when we targeted what we needed, some of those guys have been in the States. Will Short, Division I transfer from Niagara. Noah Pagano, Division I transfer from East Commerce State in Texas. And so, yes, because we are focusing on certain type of guys, but then also we are prioritizing foreign recruiting, and we've actually been doing that for a while. It's just become more prevalent in the portal because those guys have figured out that they're another option, and it's a good opportunity for them. Simon McCormick on our staff has been doing that for years. I think maybe the last 4 summers at least, he's been overseas to some of the FIBA stuff, does an outstanding job with that and connecting with the agents over there. So it's going to continue to be a priority for us. It's just enlarges the pool of potential players.
And having Ethan Elliott, who's an international player, probably doesn't hurt to have somebody that when a visit happens, he can say, hey, look, I'm not from here. He can lead the charge.
Yeah, I won't tell you the school, but Noah Pagano had 2 schools, was coming here first, wasn't sure about the other school, but in large part because Ethan Elliott was here, he felt so good. He called his agent and said, I'm not taking the other visit. This is where I want to be. And then the other school made a huge offer well above the area that we were in. And his agent came back and said, Noah really wants to be there. You don't have to get to that number. Can you meet us halfway? We did, got Noah Pagano. And the point of that story is, I think a huge part of it was he knew he was going to get to play with Ethan Elliott.
Oh, that's awesome. And then, look, when we talk about college basketball now and everybody wants to just get so frustrated with the way of things, you hear stories like that, and that makes you feel a little bit better.
And I think that's the thing, Paul. Like we've embraced it at our place. 1, because it's not going away. 2, because if we really are about the guys and just coaching, then you have to be that way. We're still doing the same things. It's just how we get to getting them here has changed quite a bit and made it a little difficult. And we don't like any more than anybody else that we only get these guys for a year or 2 sometimes. Just like the fans, we'd love to have them for 4 years and watch them grow and develop them and get to know them better. But that's just not the world we're living in. But once they're here, we're still doing the same things and trying to put a great team out there, and it's still a good group of guys. And so hopefully people want to come out and get to know them.
I could sit here and talk with you for an hour, Darrin, and just keep going on about everything. But I know we didn't even talk about the entire team yet. I'll have you back on before. I don't want to speak for you, but if you're willing to come back on, I'll have you back on before the season starts, and we can really get into like a season preview of everybody here. But one more thing, not NKU related, but Horizon League related. A lot of Cincinnati fans listen to this show. They get a coach that you have coached against for a while in the Horizon League, went over to Utah State, Jared Calhoun. What was your experience coaching against Jared Calhoun, and what do you think Cincinnati fans can expect out of him?
I'm going to say something that probably a lot of people aren't going to say that I think is really, really important. I think probably Jared's greatest strength is 2 things, and they go together. 1, he really knows how he wants to play. He really understands that. And 2, I think he does as good a job as anybody in college basketball of evaluating players and getting guys that can play the way he wants to play and play for him. You look at what he did at Youngstown, same thing at Utah State. He does a tremendous job of evaluating and getting the right players. And I'm just telling you, that may be the most important thing that we do right now, especially in these short portal recruiting windows. Right? You can have all the money in the world. If you evaluate the wrong guys, doesn't matter how much money you spent. I think he does that as well as anybody. Obviously, does a fantastic job offensively. Teams are always really well prepared. I think the Cincinnati fans are going to love him, and I think he's going to do a tremendous job.
Darrin, I appreciate you coming in here into the studio today, sitting down with the First Word crew, sitting down here with the Rundown. We'll have you anytime. You know the Norse are special to us, and we appreciate you coming in here.
Always a pleasure, man. Thanks.
Thank you very much. That's Darrin Horn, the head coach of the Northern Kentucky Norse. Little season preview for you there. A little catch-up on the summer so far. Looking forward to getting over and seeing the Norse again here sometime soon. Make sure that you follow the Rebound Rundown on social media, at Rebound Rundown. Look for weekly shows. We had doing a little Horizon League tour. We have NKU this week. I'm sitting down with Clint Sargent from Wright State tomorrow. That'll be on next week's show. I have the next about month of shows planned out, so stay tuned for that here on the Rebound Rundown as the off-season continues. Make sure you subscribe on YouTube. Make sure you subscribe wherever you're listening to this right now, and we'll talk to you next week on the Rebound Rundown. Thanks for listening, everybody.